There's one thing. There's the machine. Guess I put this down. See, this is where we're having our level 2 done. Hi guys, alright, sorry that this is like, whoops, sorry. I posted the video on Tuesday and here it is now, Friday night. A couple of reasons. One of them is very simple. My flip batteries were, I was using just regular disposable batteries, and that's why I used rechargeable. I had to buy new ones because, you know, after a while they do kind of go. So anyways, enough with that. That's why. If you guys want to stay more up to date, just go to my Facebook. Just friend request me there. So what happened Wednesday, I went in first thing about 7:30 in the morning. Went and he, you know, he said, how is the bleeding picked up? And I said, well, it's starting to slow down. He said, well, that's good. So he, the Irish doctor, he said, let's just do, he's like, I'm not even gonna do it, the abdomen. He's like, we're gonna do it transvaginally. He said, because if, he's like, I want to see what's going on, really, is why he wanted to do it that way. He's like, typically he doesn't like to do it when a patient's bleeding, but he's like, let's, and he apologized for Tuesday night. He felt awful. But then when I was having the ultrasound, it kind of made sense to me. It was an hour-long ultrasound that he did. So he's, you know, he went, and sure enough, there was, he was having a hard time getting the baby to stay still. So he's like, well, hold on. He's like, as soon as I can get the heart rate, he's like, but there is a heart rate. So of course I finally breathed, took a nice big sigh, and felt a little bit better. He's like, but he's like, I want to figure out why you're having this red bleeding. He's like, it can be normal, he said, but he's like, let's make sure there's not a reason for it. Because he said, you know, if there's a reason for it, then we can, you know, figure it out. So he was doing the ultrasound and that, and then so we finished, and I said, okay, so what's going on? He's like, well, it's hard to really tell. He's like, there is some inflammation in your uterus. He said, but he's like, there can be inflammation just because, he said, it's only a little bit of inflammation. He said, it's not, he said, but it's not even where the placenta is. He's like, which would tell him, you know, that there was separation. And he said, which that would mean automatic bed rest for at least 2 to 3 weeks, if not longer. So he said, you know, he was like, but it's not that. He said, but that doesn't mean it's not that, and that it was just a small little separation. He said it also could be a cyst. And like, you know, he said it also could just be the work that you're doing, because he said, you know, it's not uncommon, he said, for women to have bleeding from a bowel movement. He's like, meaning any type of straining. He's like, you know, he's like, granted, your work isn't strenuous to you, he said, but it could be to your cervix. And that just sounds like I do something inappropriate. I work as a custodian at a school, so it's not inappropriate what I do, because I realized it sounded bad. Especially that I'm just in a tank top, because I'm in my bed and it's comfy. So I was on bed rest the rest of the day Wednesday, the rest of the day yesterday, because he said I could come off of bed rest as soon as it stopped, and there was none, or until I went to see him today, because I had a weight check anyways. So, sometimes when I've done my weight check, it's just a nurse that does it. Today was actually him. Of course, I lost 2 pounds. But Shamrock shakes are out, but my husband fell asleep and he's in big trouble. He wanted a certain deed done, and now it's not going to happen. Because you don't take off the pregnant woman. Because I wanted a Shamrock shake. So, anyways, so, checked my weight, and he asked how the bleeding was, and I said, well, it's pretty much stopped. And so he said, go back to work. I said, for all 8 hours normally? He said, yeah, you can go back for normal. I said, granted, at that point, I only had 5 hours to work. But he said that was good for the first day. He said, any bleeding, second you're done, you know, he's like, here's his thing. He's like, you know, he's like, that basically explains to your employer that, you know, you have the, you know, ability to just leave. You know, I gotta let them know that you left, but he said, but you don't have to, like, you know, play the game of get a hold of a doctor type of thing. So he said, just go, and he would, you know, he said, and then call him and this and that type of, and he'll meet me again at his office, and we'll just do it that way, because he said, just bypass the ER. So, no bleeding, which is good, because like he said, a cyst, he said if it's a cyst, he's like even on bed rest it can still bleed. He's like, if it's, you know, those strenuous things, he said when you go back to work it might start, you know, he didn't expect to see too much today. He said, but, you know, expects when I go back to my 8 hours next week, that we'll see it. So, yeah, so I just wanted to give you guys a quick update. The baby is fine. I'm fine. But he said it's, he said this isn't just gonna be, it's not gonna be an easy pregnancy for us. He said in terms of not stressing about, you know, bleeding and things like that. Because like he said, you know, bleeding is, like I said before, it is considered normal in pregnancy. It can be normal in pregnancy, but like he said too, he said when you've had reoccurring pregnancy loss, he said nothing about bleeding is normal to you. So that's just a quick update. So I'll talk to you guys later, especially because I have my 11-week update. So I'll talk to you guys then. Bye.